Hey guys, coming at you with another video. Today's topic is leveling. So anytime you put a building up, obviously you need to have a level foundation. Now with our utility sheds that we were building, we really didn't too much with leveling because we ran out of time. If we were to assemble these things in the shop like we had originally planned, we would need to get the floor system level because you cannot get the walls plumb, which is straight up and down, if your floor system's not level. So I have with me this handy dandy laser finder today, and what this does is it will level or it will help us to find our level of our floor system that we have in the shop. I moved one of this floor systems outside, the other one's still in the shop here. So what I want to do is I want to fire this thing up, and what I want you to notice is that up in here in this corner, and it's going to be really tough to see, but this thing will level itself. It will just kind of tilt around until it finds level, and then the laser will come on. So let me fire that up and I'll show you that. So you can kind of hear it starting up. You can hear the motors turning to get it level. And soon the laser will come on and the magic happens. There we go. It's cutting right across my face here. Obviously, you don't want to look into these things or directly into them for any length of time. You know, once an accidental peek at it is not going to hurt you, but do not stare at these for any length of time. What I do want to show you is something neat that you can do with these laser levels. So I'm going to pause my video and go shut the lights off in the shop and show you something kind of neat. So I have the lights off in the shop, and you can still see that the laser's coming right across my cheek here, but you also notice right back here on the wall that the laser is running completely around this wall. As a matter of fact, if I were to turn my computer around a few times, you would see that this laser runs all the way around the shop. It's easier to see where it's darker. It's a little tougher over by the safety light. But what this allows me to do is if I have to put something, let's say I'm going to do some tiling that's only going to come up so far in the wall, I can put a mark around the wall at this level, and I can make sure that the tile gets absolutely straight around the entire room. So that's kind of a neat thing that you can do with these laser levels in addition to using them to get something level. So I'm going to pause my video again, turn the lights back on, and I'll show you actually how to use this with a stick. So I'm back once again. I have the lights on in the shop, and you can still see that the laser level is on, and it's cutting right across my face, but at least it's not at eye level. The other important part of the laser level system is the stick, and you can see this is an aluminum stick. It has measurements in feet and inches. Some of the older style will have actually in feet and tenths of a feet. So this will be divided up into, instead of divided up into 12 segments, it'll be divided up into 10 segments. So that's more of a surveying type of an instrument. This one is probably a little more for construction because that's what we use. But if you're doing actual surveying, you may find that they will be in feet and tenths of a foot. So the other feature is, of course, the mark right here. And I got to turn this thing on real quick just by pushing this button right here. And you will see, and I'll try to bring this up closer to my computer screen, you'll see that there is a light or the indicators are on, but it really isn't doing anything as far as the sensor goes because it's on the back side. So what I'll need to do is I will bring this around to the other side of my laser level. And I hope that you can see this, and you surely can hear this. Okay, and it may be really difficult to see. So let me pause my video again and try to move this a little closer here. All right, so I'm back again, and hopefully I've got this turned so you can actually see this, and I'll try to get this thing as close to the computer as I possibly can so you can see what's going on with it. So you can see that my laser level is cutting across right here, and I have my indicator right here. And you see it as I'm raising this up. Again, it might be still pretty difficult to see. It really isn't cooperating, but there's an arrow in there that's telling me if I should raise the stick up or down. So obviously in this case, I'd have to push the stick down. And as I get closer to the middle, I get that solid tone. That's telling me I'm right on level with the laser. Now I can level the entire building that way without having to move this. Let me shut my laser off. Okay, I can level the entire building without having to move my laser. And that's a nice thing about these things. I can go from all four corners or how many corners that I have, and it will tell me if the building is perfectly level. And that's what I'm looking for. So I'm going to go over and I'm going to try and crank this up as much as I can so that we can hear it. And I'm going to try and level the floor system that we still have in the shop here. So let me get set up for that and we'll be back in a second. All right, so I'm back. Got my floor system behind me. I'm going to use my laser finder to try and find my high corner. And you want to start at the high corner because you're going to have to, especially on a concrete floor, I'm going to have to bring the entire building up. Doug would get extremely mad at me if I started chipping out the concrete to lower the floor instead of just bringing the low corners up, trying to sink that high corner down. That would be a bad thing for me. Plus, you know, it is a lot of work. So I'm going to figure out, I probably would assume that one of the two corners back over here or this corner over here is going to be my high corner because I'm sitting probably at the low spot of the floor. I'm sitting right over the top of the floor drain here. So we would hope that floor drain slope to the lowest point. So I'm going to find my highest corner, listen for that solid tone. This thing is like immensely loud, so I hope that you can hear it as I go from corner to corner, and then I'll figure out how much I've got to raise or lower that. So hopefully you can see that and you can hear me as I'm talking. The microphones on these Chromebooks are not the best. So here we go. Check this corner over here. Okay, so there I have a solid tone, and I did set this up ahead of time. I'm not that good that I can estimate this, but you can, holy cow, that's loud. But you can tell that I've got this leveled right here. I have a solid tone now. So I'll go over to my other corner. And this is giving me an arrow that's pointing up, so I'm going to have to go up with this corner just a little bit. And I want to try and figure out, especially because I'm by myself, I want to figure out, let me shut that off, good Lord, that's loud. I want to figure out how much I got to raise this thing up. So I'm going to just bring until I get a solid tone, and I notice I'm maybe a quarter of an inch off of a solid tone on this. So this corner is going to have to come up a quarter of an inch. So I'm going to get a little bit of plywood, I'll throw it underneath there. Come up to my front corners, and it's telling me I have to go up a little more on the arrow, and there I've got a nice solid tone. And it looks like on this corner I'm going to probably have to come up about a half inch. So actually our floor is pretty level. It doesn't slope that much from the back corner to the front corner. And then on this corner I've got to raise it up a little bit as well. And again, this one's probably maybe about that half-inch mark. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a couple pieces of plywood. I'm going to try and raise this floor up on my own and then recheck it before I do any construction of that. So I'll shut everything down. I'll pause the video and I'll be right back after I've got things a little bit level. Okay, so I went back through and I stuck some shims. You can maybe see them underneath the corners of the building. You can see one right down in this corner of the building, right down there at the end of my finger. If I got the stick out of the way, there's a shim there. Let me turn my camera a little bit. You can see I've got another shim down in the corner over here. So there we are. It's tough to see how these cameras work. So once I get it shimmed, I want to double check it. I want to check one more time to make sure that this is perfectly level, because again, if I got to get my walls plumb, it's going to be really difficult to do that if my building's not level. The one thing too, I was going to say that when you're holding the stick, you want to make sure that you're holding your stick completely up and down. I don't want to tilt it one way or the other. So let me get a good solid tone here. All right, so I've got it sitting on my foot, and right now I've got a solid tone, which means, let me turn that up a little bit. But you notice if I I'm not moving the bottom of my stick, I'm just moving the stick forward or backward. And that's changing my level, okay? Even though I'm not changing anything, I've got it sitting on a solid object, but because I'm gonna move the stick forward or backward, or even if I moved it from side to side, it does the same thing. And there I got completely out of range there. So go back to a solid tone, and if I move it toward the computer, holding the bottom. So the biggest thing I'm trying to get on that is you want to make sure that you hold that stick as straight up and down as possible, as plumb as possible. I've seen guys who have actually put a level on the back of the stick just to make sure they're holding it. You can eyeball it. I mean, we're talking maybe an eighth of an inch. That's not that much over a level. So let me restick this real quick. I'll turn the sound way up so it makes me deaf, so I hear ringing in my ears all night again. And just stick this and then we'll come back real quick. So here we go. All right, so my floor system is perfectly level. So everything I do from this point on, when I put my walls up, they should be plumb, or at least it's going to be easier for me to get them plumb, because if the floor system is level and my walls are plumb, that corner is going to be square. And we'll talk about square in a little bit here. Next video, I'm going to show you the old-fashioned way to set up a transit, which is the old eyepiece that you would look through. A little more difficult, and that's actually a two-person operation. The nice thing about this laser is that I can operate it all by myself. So until next time, stay safe, everybody. Don't drive your parents nuts. You know you are.